Hallo allemaal, welcome to Dutch Today. Today, no specific grammar. What I'm going to be talking about is a few words that give students a headache, and me as a teacher as well. So let's get into it. Generally, when I look at new textbooks, one of the things that I look at is if it features a lot of these words that I'm going to be talking about today at the beginning of the book. Some books just give you a lot of unnecessary words in the beginning. And I usually tell my students, I'm not going to explain this now, just skip this word, forget about it, because it doesn't really matter for the meaning of the sentence, and we'll talk about it later. So when is that later? That later is today. The first word that I want to talk about is the word now. And no, this doesn't mean now. Most of the words that I'm going to be talking about today, there's two ways in which you can use this word. The first way is usually to start a sentence, and it gives you a little bit of time to think. Like in English, you would say, well. In Dutch, we say now. Often this is in reply to a question. So when somebody asks you a question like, wat heb je dit weekend gedaan? Nou, ik heb dit weekend gesurfd. Waar ga je naartoe op vakantie dit jaar? Nou, ik ga naar Frankrijk. When you don't start the sentence with now, but you put it behind the pronoun, so for example, kom je nou, you're showing a little bit of annoyance. You've been waiting and this person isn't coming. Kom je nou? So when people use now in this way to you, they're a little bit annoyed with you maybe. Another example, hebben we vandaag nou les? Do we have a class today or what? So what is implied is or what or not. Kom je nou? Are you coming or not? Sometimes you also hear people using now without any context, just the word by itself. For example, you often hear children saying this because this is also a way to say that they're annoyed. So you might be in the supermarket and hear a kid say now. They're not asking for something to happen right now. They're telling their moms that they're annoyed that she's not buying them the chocolate they want. Next up is the word toch. And this again has two meanings. And the first of those two meanings is very similar to the English right when you're checking something. So at the end of a sentence, you might hear somebody say, je komt naar mijn feestje, toch? You're coming to my party, right? You can also place it before the object. The meaning doesn't change. Je komt toch naar mijn feestje? And if you're using toch not in a question but in a statement, can be positive or negative, it means after all. Hij komt toch naar mijn feestje. He's coming to my party after all. Whatever it is, you were not expecting it, but it's happening after all. Or the opposite, hij komt toch niet naar mijn feestje. He is not coming to my party after all. Another word that I hate as a teacher because it's really hard to explain is the word eigenlijk. And don't say eigenlijk because like in Dutch, when you say it like that, means corpse, a dead body. You don't want to mix that up into the conversation when not necessary. So let's start with the meaning that is the easiest to explain, which is actually. Eigenlijk ben ik een beetje moe. Actually, I'm a bit tired. Eigenlijk hebben ze geen zin. Actually, they're not feeling like it. The second way in which you can use this is a little bit more complicated because it's a little bit more abstract. Wat is dat eigenlijk? So the meaning is exactly the same as if you would say, wat is dat? So what does the eigenlijk add to the sentence that we often use it? This is just a bit of nuance. This shows that we are interested in what we're asking about. And because we sound interested, this also makes it a little bit polite. So maybe the question, waar ga je heen op vakantie? It's a bit direct in some situations. So if you say, waar ga je eigenlijk heen op vakantie? This sounds a little bit more like, I'm interested, please tell me. You're making the sentence a little bit longer. And generally speaking, the longer the sentence, the more polite you sound. Another word that many people have trouble understanding in the beginning because it doesn't really exist in English is wel. So this has nothing to do with the good well in English. Although the meaning is certainly positive, it is generally used to counter something negative. So if somebody assumes that you don't like sushi, je houdt niet van sushi, toch? And see, they use toch, so they're checking. And you do like sushi, you would say, ik hou wel van sushi. So in English here you would add the verb do. I do like sushi, to emphasize that the other person is wrong to assume the negative. Ga je niet naar zijn feestje? Ik ga wel naar zijn feestje. The other way to use this is to say that you will do something, but you're not really enthusiastic about it. Wie wil me helpen? ik help wel. You don't sound really enthusiastic about helping out, but you'll be so kind. So here there's a negative implied as well. It is actually that you don't really want to, but you'll do it. So that's why we use wel. Wie gaat boodschappen doen? Ik ga wel. Okay, and last but not least, graag, liever, het liefst. Again, this is kind of difficult to explain because I don't know any other languages in which these words exist, but hang in there with me. Graag makes any verb that you put it behind positive. So it shows that you enjoy or that you like doing something. So you probably know how to say ik vind lezen leuk or ik hou van lezen. But you can also just say ik lees graag. Ik eet graag sushi. We spelen graag PlayStation. So graag reflects on the verb. You like doing whatever you just said. And when you're comparing things, you use liever for the things that you like doing more. Ik speel graag PlayStation, maar ik kijk liever een film. Ze eten graag aardappelen, maar ze eten liever rijst. And the thing that you like doing most gets het liefst. Hij leest het liefst boeken. Ze eten het liefst brood. They're Dutch after all. But after some verbs, it's weird to say graag. For example, hij moet graag werken. Having to do something and liking having to do something doesn't really match. So in that case, we would just say hij werkt graag. Also, don't mix it up with ik vind leuk. Ik vind katten leuk. Yes. Ik vind graag katten leuk. You like liking something. This is also weird. You can say though, ik hou graag katten. I like keeping cats. Also, you often see this in your textbooks when you're doing the chapter about the restaurant. Ik wil graag een koffie. Ik wil graag friet. Ik wil graag is the way to say I would like. So it's just adding a word to sound polite. And using graag by itself means yes please. Wil je nog wat koffie? Ja, graag. Zal ik me abonneren op Dutch Today? Ja, graag. And with that, we've come to the end of this video. I hope this was a little bit useful, getting to know some of these words that you may have seen in textbooks and didn't really understand. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section down below. Subscribe, like, and tot de volgende keer. Doei!